This is Sheets at 6 o'clock, and we're going to do our live before lock, I guess, kind of recap and lineup build or whatever. Feeling a little under the weather, so I might be able to only go like a half hour or so. We'll just see. And I'm flying solo today. Bobby is out with his kid for his birthday, so we're going to try to make heads or tails of this. What I don't have yet is any. I was about to say any late news, but I don't know what that would be here. I guess we have probable tags. Let me just see. I mean, is there anything? What's going on here? Let's just take a look. Tillman or Keta? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'm not particularly getting too much of these Celtic values, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, I guess, what the projections are giving me. Then I'm just going to go ahead and straight up build. It's a very weird looking sheet for me when I look at it from a point per dollar perspective. Right now, I know what's going to happen just from looking at my board. Is that if I use, in fact, my projections, I'm probably going to end up with just all of the Memphis. It's very weird to have a $7,100 guy be, at least for me, the top point per dollar play on the slate in Desmond Bain. So him and Vince Williams and Santi Aldama and Ja and even Edie, I mean, these are all looking extremely strong. So I'm imagining that I'm going to be getting a whole bunch of that when I do my build, which I will do live in just a few minutes. Other guys showing up near the top of my list here are Bradley Beal, and we're looking at DraftKings first. Kelly Olynyk from New Orleans. Let me just see. Hang on. All right, so here is one thing that has changed. So I did not have Al Horford as being out. So I am gonna have to redo these with that information. Let me just see something real quick. See when that came out. Yeah, that did just come out at, well, I don't know when he was actually listed as out, but he's going to be out, which means, and Luke Cornett is out as well. So if Luke Cornett is out and Al Horford is out, then you're going to have Xavier Tillman or Nketa at 3K. So that's one thing we're going to have to adjust manually here. Let me just see. Yeah, so first of all, Al Horford is out. So I am going to have to change that. I may as well just kind of just share my screen to give you a sense of how I actually do things as this news comes in. So like right now, you see I have this little lightning bolt. It says your players, you're out. I'm pretty sure that means Horford. So when you click this, yeah, Horford and Pirtle, both these guys are out, huh? Or a zero projection. So let's just get those guys out of my lineups to start with, just in case I don't remember to do anything else. Then I go back into DraftKings. And then we'll change that. I'm looking at these questions as they're coming in here. Still fading. I don't know. I haven't really built it yet, but I'm definitely not going to, factor that in. I mean, again, Bobby and I just kind of play differently, and unless the numbers kind of support it. Oh, are we really doing this? Am I verifying I'm human? FanDuel? Is that actually happening right now? Oh, that's good. Ooh, okay. And if he gets 100, then and I don't have him, then he just gets 100. I don't have him. I don't know what I have yet. You're going to see. You're going to see as I do it. But the other thing is that, again, that's being a 10 o'clock game. It's possible that whatever I have at lock gets overridden, when I do late swap. But we'll take a look and see what we have. So let's see what these Celtics guys rate to look like. I imagine a lot of it's going to depend on who starts, right? So we gotta see what's going on here. All right. So right now nothing is listed. So they're giving Keta a 19-point projection and Tillman 5. That's for that's on SaberSim. Let me look at a couple of other places without saying who they are and all that. Let me see. But I mean, I guess it really just depends on who's starting, right? I mean, let's see. Keta, it's like 16 fantasy points. That sounds about right. I guess so. So who is the guy from Toronto then? If there's going to be no Pirtle. Orlando Robinson? Okay. So the good thing is that these have been updated at least. So I can at least start the process of redoing my projections. So I'm just basically just downloading them into my sheets, and then I'm going to make a couple of adjustments. Yeah, I mean, Luka's going to have Luka always has a good game, right? I mean, it's only I can't believe it's only a 7-point spread. I would imagine it'd be higher, no? As I start to build these, let me just these projections at least take a look at some questions as they are coming in. Cool for what it's worth. You're probably going to be right. I have no idea. I mean, who knows? But I wonder what his ownership's going to be. I think he's going to be. I don't think people are going to play him because of that. I just don't. If they play him, it's going to be because the same reason they always play him. He's a great player, and I don't think people are going to make too big of a deal of the fact that he's playing against Dallas. It's a good narrative. It's a good thing for television, but you'd have to think that the DFS community at this point is not going to really factor that stuff in. I don't know. Bobby seems pretty convinced that you're supposed to lock him in to some degree, but I don't know. I got to be able to quantify it a little bit before doing that. Are you betting Hornets to cover today after losing by 40 last night? Not necessarily. I don't think that kind of stands out to me. It's interesting though because they did lose LaMelo. Did LaMelo not play yesterday also? I mean, the teams do, compensate for their missing guys pretty nicely actually. So here's another one. Tillman. Yeah, it doesn't look like Tillman is going to be the guy. It looks like Keta is going to be the guy. So unfortunately, I do have to spend the time to update these projections here. So I'm going to do that. It is going to take me a full 10 minutes, but I will try to get questions done. But as I mentioned, With the exception of Kenna, I mean, there's just a whole lot of plays coming out of that Memphis game. I mean, specifically the Memphis side of the ball. And it's going to be on both DraftKings and FanDuel, actually. Let's do one more subset, and then we'll run this. Question: Are you betting horse? Okay, same question from over there. And then I'm also, if I have time, I'm going to do the hockey builds as well. Yeah, it looks like Kenna is going to be the one. And I still don't know what to do with this Giannis stuff. I mean, I'd like to think they're going to start giving him his minutes again. Okay. A second. So I get it. So it's funny. So I actually had Al Horford as reasonable play. So that's why. I mean, I don't know why I didn't have him as out. I just missed it, I guess. This shouldn't take too long. And remember earlier I was getting a whole bunch of the Sengun. I'd be curious if I still got that. So this is the order of operations for the stream. So we're going to first. I'm going to first run the projections. It's going to take me about another 2 minutes. Then I'm going to upload them to the site for the members. That'll take 30 seconds. And then I'm going to share my screen's already shared. I'm going to literally build all my lineups right here. I'll go through the entire process. I'll do both the NBA and NHL. It's a little bit different for the NHL. I make a couple of more changes post build for the NHL than the NBA, and then we'll just kind of wrap it. You can ask questions, whatever you want. Again, the only caveat, you really should be watching this to see who I'm playing, because again, at lock at 7, that's not the end of the slate. I'm gonna have to do more late swapping or whatever. And unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to update projections after lock. But if you have, the right package with Saber Sim or whatever, you'll get all those. I don't know if Goldie updates his after lock. I don't think so though. So as far as the projections go, you're gonna have to, whatever. But as far as process, I will certainly share that with you. So we're almost done. Maybe another one minute or so for the projections, and then we'll get into the good stuff. And again, one thing you can see is the breakdown of the games as far as timing goes. And I'm going to get to your question that you asked in the chat earlier about direct fill versus autofill. All right, so these projections are now done. I just want to look at them real quick. I'll upload these to the site, the TrueDFS. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them one quick look, and I'll report to you guys what I see as far as point per dollar stuff, and then we'll build. Okay. And sorry for my voice, just not feeling very well. Okay. All right, so for those of you who are premium members, you have access now to the projections yourself. And now let's take a look at it. So as far as points per dollar goes, this Kieta is showing up as a 6x play. So he's going to show up in probably quite a bit, if not all of the lineups. And yeah, it's definitely dangerous, but that's just kind of what it looks like. And the Desmond Bain is still showing up as a very, very strong play. But let's actually see what we do. So let's do DraftKings first. And first thing you'll notice is the contests were already saved. The lineups, I already uploaded them to the entry editor. So the reason why that's important is it then saves the data on those contests. Like you see the buy-in, prize pool, or whatever, and that helps with the running the contest sims. And it already preloads the appropriate field lineups to use to compare your lineups to for the particular contests. One change I usually make is for the alley-oop. I like to change that from high stakes 20 max to high stakes MME, which is somewhere. They don't have it today. Yeah, they don't have it today. So high stakes 20 max we're going to keep. So what we'll do is we'll do a new build. And the first thing that I do is I do replace the SaberSim ones with my own. And if you have, again, depends on what package you have, it's possible that you have a package where it automatically preloads it. Sheets' projection, Goldie's projections into your version of SaberSim. Now, what you could do is click this button, automatically create custom fields from ownership. And what that'll do is exactly what it says. It'll take the ownership that I'm putting in here and create my own contest fields. But that's really tough. There's a lot more to contest fields than just, good ownership projections. You better be really, really good if you want to override the stock SaberSim contest fields. So we're not going to do that this time. So we're just going to upload these, and we're just going to build. So we're going to build 5,000 lineups, and you'll see one thing I'm not doing is messing with anything pre-flop. Like, I'm not making any projection different. I'm not making any ownership different. I'm not setting any rules that I need to have X percent of somebody, or I'm not making any limitations on maximum exposure. I do have a minimum of 48,000, and that's just a salary, and that's just to protect against some glitch in the system, because you're really not going to get 48,000 or below in an NBA lineup. So if you do, then there's something wrong with your inputs. So that's why that's kind of there. The change we might make is after flop, but maybe not even in the NBA. Okay. So now we have the regular lineups built in, and now you have your 5,000, which is high upside SaberSim created lineups with their algorithms. And Bobby would be happy. Those lineups get me 46% actually of Luca, which is what he would want. So at this point, you could just go ahead and put your lineups in, but depending on how many lineups you have, you might consider diversifying somewhat. Right now it's set to only have a minimum of one unique per lineup. Now, from what SaberSim has told me is that they've actually done a pretty good job in making diverse portfolios also, to give you more min uniques than just, than you used to. But still, I do like to manually make more min uniques. And the trick that I use, and there are a lot of ways to do this, is to keep going as many min uniques as you can until this average projection, which you have over here, gets dinged to some degree. So right now you go to min uniques 2 and it really didn't get affected. Go to min uniques 3 and it really didn't get affected. And you could even go to min uniques 4. And that's the first time it got affected. So let's go back to min uniques 3, and that's going to be our squeal point. Okay. So now so now what we want to do is we want to run our contest sims. And so when we click this button, all it's doing is it's comparing your 5,000 lineups to the particular contest fields that SaberSim had, believes, based on its back testing, is most likely to represent the actual field. So this is kind of that next layer of accuracy. Now, as you'll see, it didn't affect the ownership that much. In other words, it did give us a little less of Luca, but not as much as,
but definitely didn't affect it all that much. When you go to other sports, you'll see when you run the Sims, it gets you just crazy differences between when you run the Sims and when you don't. NBA, it's not that much. So what you can do now is you have Goodman Uniques, you've run your Sims. If you really have a take on a player, you could go ahead and click back exposure a certain guy or uncheck a guy completely, and then it'll automatically reshuffle your lineups for you. But I'm not that good. I'm just not. But the one decision you can make is how to actually fill these lineups into your contests. So like right now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contests that I need to fill my lineups in. And there are 2 ways to do that with SaberSim. One is just direct fill. What that does is it takes your lineups and just puts them in the contests, like kind of no particular order really. If it's going to fit my alley-oop, it's going to go in there. If it fits the fadeaway, it's going to go in there, whatever it is. But with autofill, it's a little bit different. Now, before I even get into this, I will say that SaberSim has just a non-stop, like an unlimited supply of videos explaining this, and you can just actually YouTube search SaberSim and their office hours series. You can even put in auto versus direct fill, and you can get a lot of different things. But just so you know the way autofill works, so autofill is actually order sensitive here. So what this will do is, going from the top down, it will run the Sims for this contest, the single entry. And then when it finds the best lineup for that, it will then take that lineup out of the 5,000 lineup pool and then rerun everything again. And then it will take the best lineup that fits the alley-oop, put that lineup in there, and then it will take that lineup out of the pool, and then it will rerun them, etc., etc. And what you get for that is more diversity, more diversification. You're not going to have a single lineup in the same contests, different contests. But the risk you run is pretty much the same thing. That if you get a lineup that would have gone in the alley-oop, for example, would be your best lineup in the alley-oop, and it happened to have also shown up in as the best lineup in the Showtime, you're not going to get in the alley-oop because it would have already come out of the pool after it went into Showtime. So you can go direct fill. You have to prioritize how to fill these lineups. So what I do is I sort them by fee. And so what that'll do is make sure that the alley-oop gets its best lineup come hell or high water and down the line. So you'll see when I hit save the contest, you'll see it actually go through this. So look at this fly. It went right through all these. Right? And then it's saved to the contest. And then we download, upload. And the reason why I show this is, again, just to show you the process, and because some people get a little bit intimidated with the back end stuff. And listen, I'm 58 years old, and I'm not exactly, I'm pretty good technologically, but not that great. And just to show you that I can kind of click through these pretty handily, without too much effort. And however, the only reason I can do that is because I've had a lot of practice doing it. That's why I play a lot of sports. That's why I just, do these, several times. So you just get used to how to click these buttons. And I know you're like, why do you need help clicking the buttons? It's not easy. Like I've actually, when I demo other sites, like when I would demo Draft Dime and Ace Mind or whatever, even though I'm a pretty smart guy, I can't really, I don't know the subtleties, how to get around and how to build this stuff because I just haven't had enough reps. So if you can't do it right the first time, that's fine. Just have a little patience and keep trying, and you can ask questions. But I like to always show. Now here is one thing that I might consider. So Giannis what's his minute spin? He really hasn't put up a minute. that a minute number that I really like. And if he's continuing to be this middling dude, I mean, maybe we're supposed to X him out. Oh, here's another thing, by the way. PJ Washington is questionable. So he's a guy that we're going to have to watch for at 10 o'clock. So I don't have that much Giannis, but maybe I'm supposed to X him out. How much do it actually doesn't matter how much I have him, if I either X him out or I don't X him out. I'm going to leave him in and just kind of trust the projections here. One thing I could look at, check this out. So here's rare. Here's actually what the projections look like. So what's interesting is that Giannis is a 31-point minute projection. See that? And people wonder why I put them up here because normally the minutes projection is something that's already factored in. That he's been out. The Garland has been out. The thing about this is that the projections are based on these minutes projections. And so the reason why I put these minutes projections up here is to show you what kind of the baseline was. So if you see Giannis projected at 31, I do think that there is like upside from that projection because we don't know when he's going to be let loose completely. But if he is, this 31-minute projection, you're going to really wish that you had played him. So I am going to leave Giannis in as a result of it. And that's pretty much all we're going to do with DraftKings. So let's do the same thing with FanDuel. We'll do the same thing. And it's pretty much the same thing when we do late swap. You just have to follow the prompts, and it'll take you right through it. So FanDuel, same thing. Upload. Now again, I'm just doing my. I keep my own projections in its own file. But however you get like to this point, where you have the projections you want, just get there. You'll see again contests. I'm playing. I already pre-entered these. I'm in the Monster, and I'm playing the $5 the lottery. And so let's just build these. And FanDuel, it's the same slate, at least as DraftKings tonight. Then after this, we're going to do the NHL. And again, the NHL hasn't been around for like a week or so because of the All-Star break. This is the first really big slate. There's some good contests. So I'm just going to go through that process also. All right, so same thing. So if anybody can remember what's the next thing that I do, the next thing I do is I go to the min uniques. So let's, again, we have this average projection, 286. And we'll go min uniques, as many as we can until this gets dinged. So this is actually sort of interesting. Okay, so when you look at min uniques 1, it says the average projection is 286.13. And when you go to min uniques 2, it also is 286. It's very, very different. That leads me to believe that Saberson really is doing a pretty decent job at already making a decent amount of min uniques. So let's go min uniques 4. Let's even crank that up a little higher. And let's see. Yeah, we can go min uniques 5 only because we're playing on 150 here. So let's go ahead and do that. Now again, decision whether we want to do autofill or direct fill. I like playing direct fill because I don't like to have the same lineups in multiple contests. So let's put the monster on the top again, and then we will go in order. Bang bang.
And then we will upload these. And that's it. Now, again, if you didn't have to run projections like me, I mean, like this whole process, should take 10 minutes, right? So, and that's good because sometimes you only have 10 minutes after NBA news comes in. All right, let's you could, by the way, feel free to fire off any questions, but for the last 10 minutes, I will do a hockey one just because. What's interesting? What is this? The clock, no data updates for review. That's interesting. So let's again put the projections up here. And I keep these in its own file, but these already should be in the grid if you have the TrueDFS subscription to SaberSim. So again, I updated my own things now. Well, there was one guy who's out, but I'm hoping that it tells me what that is. So same thing. Now there's going to be one difference that we do in NHL as opposed to NBA. There's another thing I want to show you that's different between the NHL and the NBA. Remember earlier I mentioned that the difference between what you get when you run the sims, or the contest sims, I should say, in the NBA is not that big of a deal. And then I mentioned that in hockey, it is a big deal. And I'm hopefully going to show you that in action. And it actually does challenge you to make some tough decisions. So we'll take a look again at the layout of the slate here. Mostly 7 o'clock, 2 7:30s, 8, and that late night Utah, Chicago game. That's kind of the idea. That's what I've always been striving for, Jack, in this project, is to try to be as transparent as possible and then just show people exactly what I'm doing. Okay. So we ran these, and then again, we're not going to do anything yet, but let's again run the contest sims. We're not going to change anything from here. We're playing the Barn Bash, the MME, a couple of single entries, and because we entered those lineups already, put those in there, we're going to get, it's going to be loaded with the. Now you'll see, by the way, I forgot. So before we ran this, you'll see, just as an example, you're getting Tampa, you'd be a 60% Tampa, 26% Minnesota, 22% Utah, okay, for example. So then after we run the sims, you're getting 49% Tampa, and then very little of everybody else. That's really interesting. Next thing that I do specifically for hockey is I do take a look at the stack exposure. I just don't think that SaberSim or any optimizer does a good enough job at respecting the correlation of the stack. So I will X out post build the where was it?
Basement.
Oh, how on earth?
Probably thought it went there.
Well, obviously. I would have looked there eventually. That was pretty funny. Okay. So we'll X out the non 5, 6, 2, 5 2s, 6s. We'll only play. Wait, I want to be able to play the 4 3s. So all we have is 5 2s, 4 3s, and onslaughts. And that's just a decision that I've made in playing hockey. So again, same question is, do you do autofill or direct fill? Again, same thing. I will go with autofill. We'll sort by fee. Oh, what did we forget? Forgot direct. We forgot the min uniques, right? Okay. So let's go again. Average projection 90.71. Now, one thing we also have to look at when we do this is making sure that we stay pure with our stacks. Make sure that this doesn't really force us into some bad stacks here. So we're already starting to get a little bit of an annoyance. We get this 4-2 in here. We'll do one exercise where we X this one out. And then that's all. All right, we'll go min uniques 3. That should be enough. But let's go to min uniques 4 and see how badly we get murdered here with this. Yeah, so now we have a couple of more. We'll do one last one where we accept this min uniques 4, but we'll get rid manually of the 3, 3-3-2. And then we should be in business here, okay? So when we've done that, now it's smoothed it, right? We have 22% Tampa, 20% Montreal, etc. So let's, again, sort these by fee, which we've done. Save to contests. Okay, don't worry about that. And let's go. Again, stack exposure looks good. Download these, upload these, and we should be in good shape. And I just want to double check one more time to make sure that I have nobody that's out. And you can tell because you don't have that lightning bolt there. And that is how we play. That is how I use SaberSim to build lineups in both basketball and hockey. There are other sports that I use it a little differently. Baseball is more like hockey for me, but MMA is totally different. So we'll talk about that some other time. I guess that's going to do it.